Hi and welcome. This is Wally Klein, and I wanted to give you a short video, probably about 10 minutes, on selling best in town services. This is kind of a general overview. I will go into some details and trying to show you as much as possible in the shortest amount of time possible. So, just bear with me here while we go through this. All right, so let's talk about the ideal clients. Okay, now obviously anyone that is interested in getting more phone calls can be one of our customers. We really don't have any limits as far as that goes. However, there are some customers that make more sense than others. So we have found that in cities over 100,000 up to 3 million works best. The reason is because we have a lower competition level. So if we're going into LA or Dallas or New York, we're going to have a lot more competition. It's going to take us a lot longer to rank our assets, and therefore the customer's waiting longer to receive the full value of the phone calls while we accomplish those tasks. So we have found that when you're in the 100K to, actually we like 100K, 200K, 300K. Those are perfect cities. They have enough call volume to drive the amount of calls that we need to the vendors. There's usually enough competition in the market, so there's multiple uh, vendors that want our services. And that seems to be the best type of cities to go for. So 100K, 200K, 300K, perfect cities for us to target up to 3 million. Now, niches, I'll talk briefly about niches. You might have heard me talking about that in the previous video that I was talking about niches. Niches with high buyer intent. So what do I mean by that? We have found that when they make a phone call and they have a short sales cycle. So, for example, an emergency plumber. All right, very short sales cycle. When that guy's calling, he's looking for a plumber, not in the future, not tomorrow, right now. Okay, there's a very high buyer intent when it comes to that. Okay, as a matter of fact, he's not going to waste a lot of time on the phone calling 20 plumbers. He's going to call a couple, two or three plumbers. The first guy that actually says I'll be there is usually the one that gets the job. So that's kind of the way those things work. Other types of short sales cycle is items that have short sales cycles. So, while real estates want more phone calls and new customers, one of the issues that we have found is a very long sales cycle. Some of them can be, 3 months, 2 months, 6 months before that call actually turns into dollars and cents for them. Now, that doesn't mean real estate agents aren't a good prospect for us. It just means you have to understand their selling cycle, and if they're acceptable of the fact that we're going to send calls to them, those calls may take a while to close, then that's fine. And most of them are fine with that. They understand that they have a longer sales cycle. But companies that have short sales cycles, we deal with junk dealers, plumbers, electricians, roofers. Most of those people, especially when you do like roofing repair versus roofing, the reason is, or dentists, they all have very short sales cycles. So, companies that offer high customer value, and again, these are businesses that do things, especially around the home. So windows, walls, doors, garage doors, roofs, kitchen remodeling, bath remodeling, flooring, those types of things have a very high dollar value. They're usually spending thousands of dollars. So it doesn't take a lot of phone calls for us to have very high ROI. As a matter of fact, those are ideal customers because we're not focused on the number of calls. We're focused on the value of the calls or the quality of the calls. So consequently, we may not drive as many calls as, say a lead gen company would or someone else would, but that's because we're not focused to that volume. We're focused to the quality. And I'd rather send a plumber 10 high quality phone calls that he can convert into real high paying jobs than send him 100 phone calls, which 90 of them are, leaky faucets or something you can't make a lot of money on. And not that leaky faucets don't have value to them, they do because they often lead to other jobs. But what I'm saying is he doesn't want to be bothered with 100 phone calls for somebody asking for, do you guys have a spare washer, or something like that. So you guys kind of get the idea. So high customer value. Again, this comes down to, for example, if we go after a florist, we have to deliver an awful lot of phone calls to make up for $1,000 a month. Okay. Whereas when I deliver phone calls to a roofer, one job is going to pay for my services. So you have to kind of keep that in the back of your mind. Company website. Now, these are more specific criteria around the actual companies themselves. That's kind of why I put a little spacing there. Company website. We found if they don't have a website, they're probably not interested in online marketing. So, that's one thing. Okay. Advertising, or those that see value in advertising, you understand that trying to sell somebody something like this, where they're getting more calls, it's going to help their business, it's going to grow their business, but they don't do any advertising, they might not see a lot of value in that. And, that $1,000 may, shock them because they haven't been out there paying for radio and TV and a bunch of other things that aren't as effective. So, if they see the value in advertising, they've done advertising before, they've done billboard advertising or whatever advertising, they will jump on this because they will see that this has a tremendous amount of value. They need more clients. Okay, there are some businesses, and we have ran into a few of them. They just don't need anybody. Okay, maybe they're working on a high referral basis or high word of mouth, or they have an existing client base that pretty much supports them. This is true in specialty areas sometimes. Um, you know, things that come to mind is hairdressers. Now, hairdressers actually are often looking for new clients because they want to increase or grow their business. They don't grow their business without new clients. So they sometimes like to have phone calls. The problem is they can't handle, an extra 100 phone calls because they really can't handle an extra 100 clients. So this leads to the next one, which is they have to have the capacity to grow, and they have to be able to pay for our services. I mean, one-man outfits at $1,000 a month is going to break the bank. So we don't go after those. They should be a fairly established business. They should have the funds to be able to pay for $1,000 or more a month, and they should see the value in that. So just some general criteria to help you guys think about who might fit this the best. Okay, and to stay away from those where we may not be as successful. Like I said, a florist, really hard for us to justify $1,000 a month to a florist when we have to drive, 10,000 phone calls to make that happen. So there's probably not a market for that. All right, so let me talk about the fun part. This is the commissions. So I was a salesperson, and I've sold lots of things. And one of the things that I always hated is the companies that had recurring revenue never shared it with me. So I made lots of money because they always gave me a one-time fee for that. But I like this model a lot better. This is you sell it once and you get a lifetime commission. Okay, which means you can build a fairly substantial revenue stream that pays you month after month after month after month without you having to sell anything. You can be on the beach, whatever. So we give you we give you 10% of all sales recurring plus any future upgrades. So if our customer service people have a client and they want to upgrade to another location, and we just take that order and onboard that customer because they're an existing customer, you still get that 10%. So if that customer is paying us $1,000 a month, and a few months down the road or 6 months down the road they decide to add another location, they're going to pay us $2,000 a month or $3,000 a month, you automatically get, without you doing anything, I mean, we'll let you know, obviously, but you automatically get the 10% of any future upgrades. Okay, so I think we're being very generous with that. A lot of companies don't do those types of things. I like recurring revenue. I think it builds a nice little income stream, and it can be substantial after a period of time. So our average customer starts at $1,000 minimum. We have done less than that before, but we find those are really end up not being good customers. If they talk us down to 500. Now, okay, back up here 1 second. We have done $500 introductory pricing. Okay, so if you have a customer who's on the fence, but you think they're going to be a great customer for us and you want to do that, that's fine. We don't have a problem with $500 to start with. We like to shorten it up as much as possible, especially during the build-up phase. Okay, so understands that we have a build-up phase, so it's okay if we're charging them a little less during that build-up phase. We have to build those assets. It takes us 30 days. So basically what we tell our customers, so that you can set the proper expectations, is the first 30 days we're building all the assets to drive the phone calls to you. You will get phone calls, but it will be a trickle of what you're eventually going to get, okay, because we're in build-up mode. Month 2, you're going to see about 50% of overall traffic starting to come your way. Now, believe it or not, in month one, they're at break even normally. Okay, month two, they're in profit. Okay, so they're getting more money than they're putting out. Okay, our objective is kind of that. After that, it just escalates beyond that. So the ROI might be, 10 times, 20 times, 50 times, okay, what they're paying after that. So just to give you a know, there is a little ramp up period here as we build out the traffic for that particular customer. Unless they're replacing an existing customer, then there's traffic's already there. Um, we do have customers that start off at $2,000 a month. A lawyer, some doctors, dentists who are doing Invisalign braces who make $5,000 per job. That you can sometimes talk them into a little bit more, and then getting more phone calls is a good deal. Again, use your discretion here. We're pretty flexible when it comes to onboarding customers. We want you to sign deals. Okay. Often upgrades to more locations, increasing your monthly. I just talked about that. Directory. We use a directory as a lead gen source. We really don't look at it as a big money maker. We look at it as a lead gen source. It can be a big money maker. It can be a big money maker for you. We give you a 50-50 split. We're going to split everything right down the middle. So if somebody's going to spend $100 a month on a banner advertising or whatever, you get $50 of it. And that's every month, just like any other of the recurring revenue streams. So banner ads, revenue, any advertising, and I'll show you one of those here in a minute. Bonuses. This is to incentivize all you new reps. The first 90 days, and that's your 90 days, not our 90 days, your first 90 days, whenever you start. If you can land 20 accounts, which is very doable, in that first 90 days, on board and paid, they have to be on board and paid, we will pay you after the second month of their payment. Okay, now in the 90 days, you just have to sign them up in the 90 days, they have to be paid. So we just have to have an agreement and a payment for them to count. Then after they've paid their second month, whoever that last guy is in the door, number 19 or number 20, when they've paid their second month, then we're going to cut you a check for $20,000. So I think there's a great incentive. $20,000 into the bank is going to help you guys a lot. It's a nice little bonus. It doesn't take away from your recurring revenue at all. This is just an added bonus. So kind of incentivize you guys to help us meet some of our goals, which we want to achieve. Same thing with the second bonus, first 90 days, if you land 50 accounts, and you're hustling at this point, we have had reps that have done 100 accounts in 90 days, so it is very possible to do. I've done it myself. It's not easy. You're pretty much working all the time doing sales, but accounts on board paid $50,000 check. So if you've got a lot of contacts and you think this is going to be a pretty easy sale, which it really is, and you've got contacts preset and you can just think of a whole bunch of people right off the top of your head that would love to get more phone calls, then you've got a really good shot at making an extra $50,000. Again, after their second month, whoever the last guy was through the door after at $49.50, whoever the last one is through the door, after their second month paid, then we will issue a check to you for $50,000. It's pretty simple. Okay, so let me talk about the directory. Okay, and I'm going to show you the directory here in just a second. Or a sample of one. It's really a dummy directory. We use it as a lead gen source. Okay, we're really not thinking about it as a money maker. It can be a money maker, but we use it primarily as a lead gen source. So it's a local business directory, best in town, free listing to any business. We have over 100 categories we can add to it and build out on it. It's an opportunity to offer additional lead gen source for you, so you'll be able to see who these people are and find out the ones that might have the revenue to be interested in our core services. Premium listings can be low cost. You can send an annual fee or a monthly fee. I suggest when you're first starting out, as we build traffic, that you send some kind of annual fee. Because, again, like I said, this isn't necessarily a big money maker for us, but if you can charge somebody a couple $100 a year and take half of that, that's just extra money in your pocket. That's gas money or meal money or whatever you want to call it. But this can pay out, several $1,000s. We have one of our directories right now. It's running around $5,000 a month. So the rep is making about $2,500 extra dollars a month just from the directory, and that's really used as a lead source. So we have banner ads, advertising space, events, and a whole bunch of things going on with the directory. Traffic. So we also retarget traffic. If you're not familiar with what that is, that means that when a customer comes and visits our site, we kind of tag them electronically, and then we can place our thing in front of it. Plus, we rank it, we drive traffic to it, we do it across all social media platforms: Facebook, Google, Bing, Yahoo. So it's opportunity for digital sales. You'll see on some of our on the sample site especially, we can offer websites, we can offer this, we can offer digital sales for lots of other things down the road, so that you'll have an opportunity to add additional lines, if you will, product lines to that. Okay, right now we're focused to our main product line, which is driving phone calls to businesses that want to grow. There's huge demand for that right now. We want to build that out. We don't want to get distracted with a lot of website building and other things that a lot of other people can do. So, but we can offer these types of services down the road, and if you want to offer them today, then we have ways of doing that. So it's not a big thing. We just don't want to, best way to put it, we want to stay focused to our core event. Okay. I think that's a smart way to do it. It's kind of the old, really get good at building a good hamburger before you go off and worry about a lot of the other stuff, the chicken and fish sandwiches. So we want to get really good at building a good hamburger first and not get too distracted with some of the other things. So I'm not saying we don't have those. Those are really more of our future digital sales. And those are usually one-offs, so there's no recurring revenue with those, which it makes it a little less attractive, because you do a website for a few $100s, or they can go to Wix and get one for free, and I mean it's just a lot of competition, a lot of one-offs. It's not something we're overly interested in right at the moment. Okay, so what's next? Before I do that, let me get out of this. And let me just show you the directory listing, because you're probably interested in that. So this is a sample directory listing. This is kind of a dummy site. Arizona Deal, we just called it something. We're having fun playing around with it. So as you can see, we'll have a header up here. It'll have a home and about us, services. So coupon mailer, sure, why not? Website design, SEO services, logo design, reputation marketing, advertising, we can add all kinds of things to this. Pricing, we'll have a pricing model. Local events is just that. It takes you to, the local events page, which I don't think we have a lot of things going on right now in Arizona, but we probably do. Anyways, go back to the home. And then, of course, we got our listings and our contacts. So it's a pretty nice site. It's clean. You can hit the view listings deal. We do promote this across all the social media platforms. So I'll just show you the rest of the site. So welcome to hottest deals in the valley. Tell us a little bit about what we're doing. There's a mailbox. Look for our coupons coming up, and AZ coupon about us. Visit our blog. So there's a lot of things going on. Here's where your featured listings are. So you can sell these to restaurants, establishments, golf centers, any kind of recreation places, car dealers, whatever. These are, again, premium listings, so they'll have, pictures and more detailed descriptions. Let's see if we have any plugged in here. We may not. Okay, so here's the Zellow's pizza page. So they get a picture on our primary page, and then we got a little more description, the little map that tells them where to go, something about their video about their coffee shop, so they can have a video in here. Over here on this side, as you notice, we're running ads. So these are ad spots. So ad spot 1, ad spot 2, ad spot 3, ad spot 4. These are all places you can sell ads. And maybe these are related business. Maybe the business owner wants to run some ads here. Maybe he wants to run a coupon deal. Maybe he wants to run, menu item of the month. You can use your imagination. Okay, we could do a lot with this. Let me get back to home. Okay, and I just really wanted to show you this, and I'll give you a link to this when you get a chance, so you can show customers what we're about. Again, this is a dummy site. It's really not live, so we just threw some stuff in here, and then we can have a coupon banner ad section down here. So these are all the quick links: home, about, listings, pricing, contact, submit a listing. Really easy to submit a listing. They just go in here, they hit this button, and it brings up a form. They fill it out. Okay, they get their free listing. They get to register, and you get. And the nice thing about this is we'll set your email up. You'll get an inbox in your email that's saying someone has registered. So they'll just come in flooding every day. You'll just have a whole bunch of them, and you'll see who they are and stuff like that. And you can sort through them. One of the things that's nice to do as a sales rep is to call them up or to email them or call them and say, hey, thanks for joining, our business directory. If you have any questions about, some of the things that we offer, let me know. And then you can kind of dig for more information and find out a little bit more who they are. But you got a name, you'll have their name, an email, possibly a phone number and a bunch of stuff. But they only have to provide name, username, email, password, and confirm it, and they're in. So we don't make it complicated. We try to make it as easy for them to register as possible. But it gives you another lead, so to speak, or a bunch of leads. And we have found this to be a great way to introduce Best in Town to the customers. So if you want one of these set up in your area, you just have to let us know the city you're in. We'll set one up. It takes our programmers a few days to set these up. I don't want to promise anything. Sometimes the programmers get busy, but it takes them about 48 hours to build it out, basically. That's a base site. And then what they'll do is they'll start populating it with categories. We have over 100 categories we can populate this with. And we can actually do some what they call pre-population, where we actually go out and gather a bunch of information from some other sites like Yelp and Yext and some of the other ones. We can actually pull in some of their directory information and start, pre-populating the site for you so that it's not empty, out of the gate. Just so you know that. All right, so I just wanted to show that to you. The other thing that I wanted to do just really briefly, and I'm trying not to run over here, is just to kind of give you a good way to kind of like find some ideal customers. So if I type in, plumber, let's just do Syracuse. So if I type in plumbers, you're going to see a couple things going on. Now the plumber section, they have this new plumbers nearby. Anyways, they're going to have the ad section. So one of the things we know about these guys right here, this Cross Brothers Plumbing, is they're paying for Google AdWords. This is a pretty good candidate because they're paying for ads and they're probably getting crap for it. Okay. So that's just to let you know, this might be a possible lead right there. That guy right up there. Roto-Rooter is kind of national, so DBR Plumbing is actually one of our customers from our previous SEO. So, of course, they're ranked number one, which is okay. And he's getting lots of phone calls and he loves us, so I'm okay with that. Then you got things like, Yelp and Home Advisor. But let me just show you this. Okay, so one of the areas that you can go to get more leads is right in here. There's more businesses now. Ferguson's also doing, here's where the other advertisers are. So Ferguson's another possible candidate. He's paying for ads. He's paying for AdWords. And we have ways of finding out how much he's paying and what he's doing. So if you want to know that information, we can have our little internet spies go out and find out more about him. I would skip the first three here. They were listed in the 3-pack, so I would skip them. And I would go to Mr. Syracuse Plumbing right here, or P.A. Lozone and Sons, or DeSantis, or Healy. These guys all want to be in that 3-pack, and they're not there. Parsons, these guys are getting no phone calls, or little or no phone calls from any of this online stuff because they're not listed in a 3-pack. Bauer Brothers, All Phase, Attaboy Plumbing, all these people are now prospects for you. Okay. Not that they're advertising, okay. And again, I'm gonna put back my own criteria. If they don't have a website listed, that's not a really good indication. Now, these guys may not have claimed their listing, so they're just missing out totally. These guys may have. And how can you tell if somebody hasn't claimed their listing? You go to the listing, and it'll say suggest an edit, own this business. If you see own this business, this means this business owner has not claimed this listing. All right. So he hasn't even claimed his online listing, which somebody else could steal. So that raises a big question in my mind: is he really really interested in online marketing at all? He may not be. So, but anyways, he's a candidate possibly for he doesn't even claim his listing, which is sad. And you probably find that with a bunch of these businesses that don't have their websites listed. They haven't even claimed their business. Now this guy's claimed it, but he hasn't. He isn't doing anything with it. Okay, didn't put up a website and it didn't do anything. Okay, now this Perone guy, let's look at him real quick. And I hope that I'm not taking up too much of your time. Peterson, he's got a nice website. Okay, nice clean website. I like it. A lot of nice things going on. Um, where was he? Perone was down here. Yeah, Peterson. Anyways, he's got a 4.0, which means he's struggling with some of his reputation. He's not a 5-star, so there's some help there we could give him. As a matter of fact, he's only got one review at 4.0, so he's got one guy that just gave him a review. So he's not doing a lot online, but he did respond. So thank you very much. We look forward to seeing you in the future. All faithful and your honest for the family plumber. So, he took the time to respond, which, by the way, a lot of business owners don't even do that. So, um, that's a pretty good indication this guy might be interested in talking to us. So, I'd put him on the list, probably put Healy on the list. DeSantis doesn't have a website. Roto-Rooter's kind of national, probably skip them. Although you can get into the franchise guys sometimes. If you ever get into a franchise, holy cow, you might win the jackpot there. You could have multiple locations overnight, especially regional franchise, not national. But if you get into a regional franchise, we have found those are really gold mines because once one gets on board, they all get on board. Um, Leone and Sons. Let's just take a look at him. He owns it. He's got some pictures. 2 Google reviews, not a lot going on there, but he's got 5-star rating, which is good. Let's see what his website looks like real quick. Wow, 2003. This guy he put up a website in 2003 and has not updated. I mean, this is bad. This is bad. So here's the owner right here, Patrick Leone. You got his picture. Okay, this is a really out of date website. Okay, I mean really out of date. I haven't seen one this out of date in a long time. But anyways, so he's obviously in the past put some money into this, but hasn't done anything since then. So I don't know what he's doing for advertising. He may not be a good candidate because it looks like he's not interested in the online stuff. I might check out his social media pages and see if he's doing anything at all with social media. If he's not, then now here's one thing that is interesting. Now this in approximately 90 Patrick Leone plumbing heating began. There he is. So he's probably headed for second generation already because 55 he started at. Instrumental in forming the Onondaga Plumbing Association. Now, this guy has connections. So one of the things I might want to talk to him about, I might get a hold of this guy and say, look, Leone and Sons Plumbing and Heating. So his sons might be involved, which would be a great blessing for us because we could point out how bad the website is and a few other things. But again, driving phone calls to these guys, probably very interested. They seem like they probably want to grow, especially if the sons are interested in growing their business. And he's well connected, so he might lead you to a lot of plumbers in the area. All right, and if not, again, we do exclusivity. So we're only looking for one of these guys, and I know you guys are thinking, well, then what do we do with the rest of them? If we get, just to let you know, we have some situations brewing where we're getting so many calls, quality calls, that we're actually looking for a second vendor in some cities. We are allowed to do that. We still want to make sure that the primary person we're working with is getting a great value, and we let them know that we have additional phone calls, and if they want them, we can send them to them. But They have to tell us when to say, ouch, I'm getting too many phone calls, I can't handle any more business. And at that point, then we're going to look for, and it's okay with them, then we're going to look for a second vendor. And we will look for a second vendor. And we have a few situations brewing where we're getting in the hundreds of phone calls that are quality calls, and the one vendor that we're working with can't handle them all. So we're starting to see that, and it affects his response time. And of course, we don't want our customers. You got to remember that the consumer is important to us too. We don't want our customers going to someone who's not going to return their phone calls or get back to them. And if we do see that happening, then we address that with that business owner and say, look, you're getting a lot of calls, no answer. You're getting a lot of calls that you're not responding to. Is there a problem here? you know, Sometimes we can step in and help them out a little bit, but the bottom line is we often look for a second vendor that can handle the overflow because they're just getting too many and they haven't expanded their technical capacity to handle the additional phone calls. So that's where that capacity question came into play. Can you handle, and this is a great question to ask them in the sales process, how many calls can you handle? You know, if I sent you, if you said your conversion rate is 50%, which is very typical of a lot of this, if I send you 100 phone calls, can you handle 50 more jobs every month? And if the answer is no, well, then how are we going to address that? When that happens, which is going to happen at some point, unless there's not 50 calls in the marketplace, we can only deliver what the marketplace can send us. But, if it does happen, how do we address that? What do we do? How are we going to service these customers? We have to have the capacity to take care of those clients. So, we may need to have, a second vendor involved. And for you, that's great because that just means another $1,000 a month out of that area. All right. So that's it for that. So what's next? Very simple. You sign the rep agreement. If you want to get involved with us, then you just simply let us know. We will send you the rep agreement, which is really just a simple one-page document that we promise to pay you. The commissions that you generate each month, every month, by the 10th of the following month, and blah, 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 all the stuff that goes with that. You make your list of likely candidates, request a directory setup if that's something you want us to do. It is optional, you don't have to do it. We find it helpful to generate leads. We send you a copy of our, in Word, of our customer agreement. It's a fairly simple, 2 or 3 page agreement. It's not anything wowy. It's just, got some nice verbiage in there on what we're going to do to generate phone calls for them. We bill online via Stripe with credit cards or electronic checks. We don't like chasing money, and that's something we enjoy doing. So customers who don't pay us, one of the things that we try to do is set them up on a recurring payment. It's basically a subscription. So, automatically every month the credit card gets hit or the invoicing goes out and they approve it or don't approve it. And by the way, all of our agreements are month to month, and that's because we're a performance-based company. We do not feel that, look, if a customer likes our service, they're going to keep paying for it. If they don't like our service, they're not going to pay for it anyway. So it doesn't really matter, what you try to lock them in for 12 months or not. The bottom line is, if I'm sending you 20, 30, 30, 40, 50, 80, $100,000 worth of business and you're paying me $1,000 or $2,000, you would be an idiot to stop doing that. And most of them realize that. Okay. And if you ever want to test that out with them, we accidentally one day shut off one guy's service. It was an accident. It wasn't on purpose. But he called us up immediately and said, hey, how come I'm not getting phone calls? And we said, oh, gee, I don't know. Let's look at that. And we just had simply, routed the number to the wrong number that didn't exist. So that's what happened. And he wasn't getting phone calls. And he noticed it after one day. And we turned it back on. And he, what it did though is it really made him aware that we're basically his lifeblood. If we shut off his phone calls, he's out of business, and he knows it. So, a great position for us to be in. Make sure that you pay your bills. So, we really don't have a problem with that. And what I like about this model is because we deliver that kind of service, because we're delivering valuable, highly targeted, real-time phone calls that are exclusive to them, so that they can sell them and they can convert them into sales. because we do that, we have value, and because we have value, uh, our customers stay with us. We have not yet to date had one customer that we have signed up leave us. Okay. The only questionable ones we had is, like, again, if they followed outside that criteria. We had what was it? Some guy wanted phone calls, and he was uh, colored glass. Oh, the old time lead glass type guy. Well, there's no market out there for that. So people aren't looking for that anymore. He thought, there were lots of people looking for it, but there aren't. We did the research, and basically we had to tell him no. I mean, we were going to give it a try, but I realized it would have just been a disaster because he wouldn't have gotten any phone calls at all. So there are businesses out there that just they won't generate phone calls. It's just not in a market, or they're too specific that we can't deliver enough valuable phone calls to make it worthwhile. So anyway, so after that, go out and sell, sell, sell. If you have questions, we'll hold some webinars or some conference calls, and we'll get you guys on board and answer your calls. And of course, one on one, you'll have my direct cell phone number, so you'll be able to get a hold of me. There are times I do turn it off, especially if I'm involved with family, and I apologize for that. But I just feel it's important that if I'm doing something with my kids or my wife, or that I give them my attention, and I hope you guys can appreciate that. And that's kind of the way I work. I think family is important. But I try to make myself available as much as possible. Email and texting are excellent ways to get a hold of me. I will usually, even texting, even when I'm with the family, sometimes I'm texting and they yell at me, Dad, put the phone down. So anyway, that's about it. So thank you for your time. I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any questions, just drop me an email. We'll get together, get a phone call, get going here, and I wish you a lot of success. I'm looking forward to working with you, and I think this is an absolutely phenomenal opportunity. You're going to be part of something that's going to be very big, very successful, very soon. So, thank you for your time.